Hey, it's JayGS, and in this video I want to talk about the Anti-Mage female persona and just the character design and a couple of things when it deals with the art of wallpaper or concept art that was presented before the actual 3D model, and the criticisms of that she looks very masculine, which is, let's get straight, it's kind of the point, or not exactly the point, but it's with the because of the hair that is given to her, that any woman with short hair, if you see in real life, tends to start to look a little bit more masculine, especially with people with a little bit of like skinnier and sharp jawline as so. But looking at the model in this particular pose here, her face looks a little bit long, at least to me, and with her short cut hair on the side, not sure what this hairstyle is called, goatee or something, it starts to look a little bit more masculine. And this is just talking about the face, not talking about anything else. As for the body, it's like the muscles don't look too large, and let's just compare it to the Last of Us craziness, but these aren't too large, and just looks like an athlete basically. And the color schemes are of course very reference to Anti-Mage, since this is still a skin, not a new hero entirely. And it will be very interesting just to reference League of Legends, where they are about to release Yasuo's brother, who in the lore was supposed to be dead but now is coming back, and these are now two swordsmen that again should be very similar, same fighting style. And so we'll see how League of Legends is going to differentiate with the leaks and rumors about the character design and the spells. I think it's going to be quite unique, and the kinds of stories that they would tell. But back to this Anti-Mage one, that the color scheme is of course very similar to Anti-Mage himself. And let's take a look at him. So this is his base form, and of course the dress is different, and we can see like the biceps and shoulders is much more pronounced and much broader shoulders. And as for his face, it's a little bit more square instead of the long face, which I think this square face does make it look more masculine. And his hair is also much shorter because they wanted to look like a dude. The second thing that I'll reference before going back to the female Anti-Mage is also the weapon, that this weapon design as default looks much better than what we currently have. So now we have this female Anti-Mage once again, and let's just see here.
The war is coming, and I will be ready.
And so the costume is still different, but then because of the colors and just sort of the style, even in the bracelet here, there's a lot of reference to the original Anti-Mage, and even the similar hair color that sort of tells you, oh, this is someone who is related to Anti-Mage. And small tangent to how people like to make fun of League of Legends and criticize their sexualization of the character. Dota 2 is a little bit better in that prospect of giving her characters and female characters a more proper, reasonable costume design, and that fits to their lore. And the only sexy character, let's say, would be of course Queen of Pain, who is more a succubus kind of character who wants to torture her target, while everyone else is more well dressed to the task and type of character that they are, and not really over sexualized. For this female Anti-Mage, it's also the same theme of like they didn't make her too curvy and still made her sort of well rounded as someone who is more fit than someone who's very skinny and does look quite fragile. And this comes to again like how we would see the model in game that needs to be similar to Anti-Mage. And as I sort of spoke about, the weapon of Anti-Mage, his default weapon looks, I think, much better than the female version of this skin. And it's quite a shame, really, that you are not able to swap out weapons, and I really do not understand why. And as people test it out, it claims to have new animations, but it just all looks the same, question mark. But back to the weapons, it's one of these things where, yeah, we do like these side blades, or people use blades from the back of their hands, but I think things have sort of moved forward in sort of general swordsman designs, that anything that goes like at the back of your hand like this just does not look that good anymore, at least in the sense of what it could be. Now if it's like the type of animation that she would switch around the blades, so the blades are from the back and then she switches to the front, now front side and then back again, that could look pretty cool. And now we have sort of the long hair just shown that, oh, it's long hair, so it's kind of like a girl, because like from this angle she still looks like kind of slim, so this might indicate that it's a girl besides the hair, compared to normal Anti-Mage, who might look a little bit more buffy, especially in like the general body. Like her model looks much smaller than even the circle of her character model. Like this circle is the hit box, right? And so the model looks much smaller than that. So back out again. So I am like a little bit curious if they just like gave the long hair to her, would like her general face would look a little bit more feminine or not. I do disagree on like this sort of this side shoulder not being present. I suppose is fine, but then this sort of leg that's just gone, is just half and half. That doesn't really make sense to me. Like here we have Anti-Mage, both sides are like exposed and then the pants are just complete, and this one is like kind of okay, but this one where it's just cut in half and just exposing her legs like this, I'm not really sure about it, that it's the right decision or not. Now talking about the concept art, that people were expecting something, or the concept art was showing something totally different, which they are quite right about that. The weapons are different, the hairstyle is also like slightly different, and even the head model itself, and these are like still very important key features. I'm not gonna talk about like the dress itself, because even when looking at the in-game model, you don't really see that as much. You see the hair, you see the weapon, those are the two main factors, and then the colors, and then the sort of costume comes a little bit later, especially for the model being so small. But let's sort of take a step to look a couple of other examples that are more faithful to the concept art that is given. So one that I looked to was actually Invoker. So this is sort of an Invoker skin, and then if we go to global items, and then should be, nope, not this one, just hold on, loading screen, there we go, and then we get to see the concept art of it, and you can see it right there. For some reason I just totally forgot to item details. I guess I cannot zoom it out, but you can basically see the concept art right here, that this art is so much more faithful to the actual 3D model of Invoker that we got, compared to the Anti-Mage female persona concept art or loading screen art to the actual 3D art that we got. Another example that I would like to show is also, I think is in this international collector's cache. Yeah, the silencer, this model is very cool. Like and I would say that this is sort of higher quality, or looks much cooler than even the female persona, though coolness or flashiness isn't everything. Once again, the Anti-Mage female persona is just supposed to be a skin to Anti-Mage, not a But this again is also like Silencer, but in a totally different skin, and this one still has so much more. But if you look at the concept art, this one also looks like really cool, has everything that we see in the 3D model. And this is the thing with Dota 2 that makes it so good, that the 3D model surpass the concept or wallpaper art that is presented. This one does give the feel of that Souls-like game. You know which one I'm thinking about. It's just not coming to me. It's like the Dark Souls type game that looks the part and looks really good. But then when you look at the 3D models, there's more visual effects, more colors and stuff going around, glows here and there in the hat, in the weapon, in the cloak. And so Dota 2 is really good at that, to show high quality 3D models, and very confident to just show it right here in front of us, to just do a full turnaround and see it in real time. And this is like compared to League of Legends, where their art style is more simple for their own reasons, right? But then they have very high quality art, and with like a large team, sometimes higher quality than this art, a little bit higher. But this is also one of the highest quality art in sort of general Dota overall. But again, with League of Legends, sort of there's the wallpaper art, and then there is the 3D model, and the 3D model always looks worse than the actual concept art. But in Dota's terms, they will have great concept art, and then the 3D model is even better. And as for the Anti-Mage art style, this is sort of, I think, the biggest disappointment of them all, where we have high quality Anti-Mage female persona art, but then when the 3D model came, it's a big disappointment, especially when it's a very official skin from the actual Valve company, I would presume. And these other ones are like made by independent creators. Seeing like when it was the voting time, they give credit to the artists who made these skins, and so these aren't made by Valve themselves. It was the independent creators and their hard work to produce skins that they would want to see in the game, and the community voted on the best skins to be in this cache. And so it's also that as well, that a reasonable disappointment in the Anti-Mage female skin. I think one of the biggest fixes is if they could figure out a way to allow people to at least change her weapon, since it's just gonna be something she holds. I understand the costume changes because Anti-Mage body is totally different from the female persona body, of course. That, let's say, this armor piece over here or chest and pants or whatever will not fit, but the weapon itself should fit. Now maybe, and this is just speculating of course, if anyone has the actual like model to play with some more, maybe these weapons are actually too big for her hands, or having these weapons with her and next to her when she's holding it in the game model, it's going to look too big compared to her sort of smaller model size. So here we have Anti-Mage, and so maybe I'll try to like edit a side-by-side comparison. But looking from here already, I can see that the body, and especially again since they opened up his shoulders, the arms look so much bigger and prominent, and including his body look like thicker and bigger because he's sort of the male of Anti-Mage, and so the weapons are already quite big. So if you put this sort of weapon next to the female version of Anti-Mage skin, it's gonna look even bigger in her hands, and maybe that is the reason why they don't really allow the weapons to be switched to inside the female skin, for example. And this comes with the last sort of disappointment of the skin as well, of like Dota. It's so famous to like be able to switch around different sort of skins, that you have like a bunch of weapons here, you can switch them around, you can do whatever you want, like, oh, I like this weapon, or I like this hat, or I want to switch this, I want to switch that. But then you have this new skin, this Anti-Mage female skin, and then all of a sudden you can't do that. You can't mix the different weapons, you cannot mix the clothing, you cannot mix the armor type, and that is again a step down from like Dota 2 standard, and why it's a disappointment in the skin. With that case, that's all I have for you with this sort of Anti-Mage female skin review, or a reaction and explanation, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye for now.